What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor at FightfulWrestling.com. Go there and get more wrestling news than any other wrestling website online. Exclusive news, podcast, videos, all kinds of good stuff. Go over there, tinker around. We've got MMA content. We've got boxing content as well if you're into that. You can go to Fightful.com, or you can go to the sub-sites that we have devoted to each one of those. We had the Fightful MMA podcast today on that channel, the Fightful MMA and Boxing YouTube channel. Go check it out. We preview this weekend's UFC 234. If you all don't join in on our UFC live coverages, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of comments there each time now. It is a very good time, and we broke down that show, the UFC Fortaleza show and the upcoming UFC 234 show. This show is brought to you ad-read free by Fightful Select. That is our premium service. If you want to support an independent wrestling website that's trying to do things the right way, trying to pay our guys a more reasonable rate than some other places, subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Dozens of podcasts a month. I post news there early. I posted a ton of stuff there early for Tier 2 members today. Interviews with Eva Lease and Conrad Thompson, articles from other interviews that I got. The weekly goes up there early. Just a ton of different stuff on Fightful Select, and we got a lot of big podcasts. A Q&A show this week where you all can ask unlimited questions. Neat stuff. I'll even address some of the fun stuff that happened on Twitter today. I am joined by Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how you doing?
Good. I had a tweet in my drafts that I wanted to work the language out on, figured out exactly what
Did you call me a cuck?
No, I wanted to figure out what exactly kind of crazy declarative statement I wanted to make about Charlotte being added to Becky's thing. What was the exact kind of hyperbolic language I wanted to use? And as I was fiddling with it, my daughter grabbed my phone and hit send tweet. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it's fine. But apparently it wasn't fine. A lot of people were like, dude, this is the dumbest take ever. And I was like,
is this a serious thing or is this a joke?
No, this is serious. I was like, I'm sure it's fine, but apparently it wasn't fine. The biggest thing I can say is that I responded to a lot of people calling my kid take into question by saying, I didn't say it was the worst thing they'd ever done, just one of the worst.
You just really did that. My cousin had my phone, internet. Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah, I know.
If that were a wrestling storyline, you'd be like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Who does that? Exactly.
I haven't had something like that happen since I think I was in high school, and somebody got on my MSN Messenger and sent my girlfriend at the time really mean messages.
Yep.
I was like, man, that's how it goes. We'll talk about some news that has emerged today. It will be probably pretty early in the show. I'll bring it up as it is pertinent, but we've got a lot of backstage news to talk about today. I've been hearing a lot of stuff today. I'll break all that down. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm reading this directly from my match ratings and podcast notes, but some of the news that you guys want, it is, fairly early in this show as I see. Charlotte Flair comes out and cuts a sarcastic heel promo about Becky Lynch being injured and refusing to get checked out by a doctor. Alex, I thought this was kick-ass stuff. Yeah. This is the Charlotte Flair that is a WrestleMania main eventer.
Yeah, this is exactly what we need Charlotte to be. Like she's perfect as this, and I think that a lot of where we run into problems with her is where they're trying to utilize her as being this a benevolent queen. And we don't need that. We need the evil queen. And this is who she is right now. And she's killing it. She's doing such great work.
This was some of her best promo work I have ever seen, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's absolutely fitting directly into the story they need to be telling right now. There's a lot of great work they're doing with it. I'm very into it. I've really come to love all of her performance that she's been doing. Since her crazy kendo stick whack job thing she did at the end of Survivor Series. Like, it's really been a direct through line throughout. You can trace it. It's been very, very well done.
Becky Lynch comes to the crowd, Charlotte says that she stole Ric Flair's nickname and Roman Reigns' entrance. That was a really good line.
It's good. It's good.
I'm like, it's not easy to get one over at the expense of Becky Lynch these days. And she
No.
did it.
Yeah, she did.
Officials come in between them and Triple H appears. He says if Becky gets checked out, the suspension is over. When Charlotte mocks Becky, Triple H says, no, you get out of here, leave.
I love angry dad Triple H. Like, girls, if you do not stop this, I swear I will turn this car around. You're both grounded. Go to your rooms. Like, this is great. He's doing this a great job because at this point, so far into this segment, he's objective.
Yeah.
He's like, Becky, all you got to do is go to the doctor, get it checked out. We're fine. Charlotte, this doesn't concern you. Get out of the ring. Like, that's objective. That's as objective an authority figure as Triple H has ever been.
This interaction between Triple H and Becky Lynch, I just adored. It made sense. It was really good. Becky Lynch says that she does not trust Triple H or the situation, being that she thinks that their doctor will say, no, you can't wrestle at WrestleMania because she's had that happen before. She had that happen at Survivor Series.
Yep.
Triple H says she doesn't need to fear the situation, doesn't need to distrust them, and just tells her to go home. Becky Lynch, as Triple H gets out of the ring, says, how's Stephanie doing? Is she medically cleared after I punched her in the face? And that is in tune with everything Becky Lynch has done. And there have been a lot of happy accidents along the way. Like Becky not being in that match at Survivor Series long-term ended up being great. Now, I'm not saying, yeah, man, Nia Jax, thumbs up for punching this woman in the face, but it ended up being best. And things like this is what was birthed from that.
Yeah. If Nia Jax isn't reckless and breaks her face, then we get Becky versus Ronda, and we might get like a DQ or something, but I don't think Becky is winning that match versus Ronda. Like, I don't know what their plans were from there on, if Becky goes into that match and winds up losing, or it's a draw or whatever. But ironically, her missing that match builds towards something that could be really, really special at WrestleMania that they would not have had otherwise, I don't think.
Triple H is upset by this, and rightfully so. This is his wife, and I saw some people saying like, oh, why would Triple H go? I mean, it's his wife.
His wife.
It's his wife. And Triple H says, you're not the man. You're a self-destructor, afraid of failure, that wants to be a martyr. Said that Becky Lynch wants a way out just like she did at Survivor Series, which is why she stormed the Raw locker room and the ring, guns a-blazing, and got her nose broke. Triple H says that Becky Lynch isn't scared the doctor will rule her out of WrestleMania. She's afraid the doctor will clear her for WrestleMania, and that Ronda Rousey will expose her for the fraud that she is. So in one promo, I got what I thought was the best Charlotte Flair promo in a long time and the best Triple H promo in a long time. Yeah. Because when I see this, I'm like, this doesn't bury Becky Lynch. What this does to me is it adds a new wrinkle. Yep. There are going to be detractors no matter what, Alex. And if you can work this into that, I just love this so much. Yeah. I almost got chills. I was so excited watching this. And I was like, God damn, the good storytelling I've been yearning for so long.
Exactly. No, Triple H is really special with these kind of promos because he really lays it out in a way where it's just, I mean, I know I'm being sold a bill of goods. There's nothing wrong with Becky's knee. I know I'm being sold all this stuff. And I love that Triple H is selling it to me so well that I'm like, I'm buying it. I'll whatever is the sticker price, I'll pay double for it. That's how good a salesman he is being right now. I love this. I love that. I mean, like, there's a point where, yes, as you said, we're all expecting it to be Becky is scared that she's not going to be cleared if she goes to see the doctor. Sure. That's why she's not going to see the doctor. But I love the reverse of that Becky is actually scared that she's going to be cleared because with Becky not saying anything in response, you don't know which one it is. And I love that there's that doubt there.
You know, there was a woman in the UFC named Jermaine Durand to me. And while everybody seemed like they were ducking Chris Cyborg for a long time, the killer Cyborg, Jermaine Durandamy for a long time was the only one calling her out. Like the only one for like a year or so. I mean, you had Ronda Rousey, who technically agreed to fight her in 2013. Other than that, there weren't any real contenders that were open to fighting Chris Cyborg, especially from 135 pounds. Then what happened was UFC started this weight division for Cyborg. 145 pounds. There was nobody in it. They announced this title. Cyborg can't compete for it. She's like, I can't fight. I'm not ready. Jermaine Durandamy happily fights Holly Holm and wins that title in Cyborg's division. She's finally got the fight, right? Cyborg Durandamy. Well, no. Durandamy didn't want that fight. In fact, she completely vacated that championship, so she didn't have to fight Cyborg, who she had claimed that she wanted to fight this whole time.
Right.
In fact, UFC went as far as to announce this fight a year before. They were like, we're doing it, and Cyborg said, no. We didn't agree on that. Then when Durandamy finally gets it after all that time, no, she doesn't want it. This type of thing can be rooted in truth. There is precedence for this. I applaud WWE for some fantastic storytelling. This was really good.
This was great because it's incredibly human. If you have a history like Becky Lynch, where you've been working your ass off for years to get to this position, and finally you're there, you have to have in the back of your mind the thought that I am one bad loss or one injury away from losing it all and having to try and build myself back up to get it again. She knows how this business works. You get put on the shelf for months after a title run that doesn't go well. I mean, she's seen it happen on her damn show with Asuka, who was like a joke for several months. Like, even if you figure out what it is it in canon? Is it kayfabe? Is it not? You wind up not being part of the plans for a while. And it's perfectly normal for Becky Lynch to go, if they rule me out, maybe I'm out for way too long and I can never get back, like Finn Balor. Maybe they rule me in, and if Ronda catches me in one of her crazy little arm bars and I have to tap out, maybe I never get that shot again. Like, there's all these things that have to be going through her mind, and I love that they're playing with all of them.
Becky Lynch then slaps Triple H. Good stuff.
Triple H's sell of looking for blood in his mouth was just perfect.
Yeah. Up next, we have Rusev and Nakamura defeating the Good Brothers. Here's a little fun fact for you. This was actually not the first time they teamed together. They beat Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles back in July together. So quite the success as a team. Rusev and Nakamura tease not being able to work with each other before the commercial. Nakamura lands that suplex but walks into an Anderson spine buster. Gallows is in and he's on fire. He does a boot and the Baldo bomb, Alex. One close to your heart.
I love it.
Lana then outside revives Nakamura.
with the power of her screaming. I loved it. It was great.
Fantastic. He gets up and stops Rusev or stops the Good Brothers from doing a magic killer. I think that Babyface Anderson is still great. I love him flying through the air for that kick, but he gets caught with a macho kick from Rusev. I don't like the Good Brothers losing all the time, but Nakamura and Rusev team is nice. I like that. Yeah. If we had to lose Rusev Day, which Rusev seemed bummed about in a recent interview, I'm glad we got this at least.
Yeah, me too. Listen, you could absolutely talk me into a Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura mismatched tag team that becomes perfectly matched, like The Bar. You could tack me into that. I'd be in for it. What I wanted to mention was that as we saw last night, there are new rules. Like, they actually mentioned this. We didn't talk about it because I guess we both missed it. But apparently, Graves brought up this new thing where now you're only allowed to break up a pin as a tag member once. After that, your team's disqualified.
That's always been the rule.
But apparently they're enforcing that now because they never do.
That has been mentioned before, and Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith Jr., did a shoot interview about rules in WWE and pointed that out. And he said, yeah, did you all know that you're only allowed to break a pin up once? And the interviewer was like, I didn't know that. And he goes, because they never tell you.
Yeah, it's true.
Because they never tell you. Yeah.
Last night, Strowman attacks Corbin, gets DQ'd. Because Strowman was not legal and Corbin was legal. Tonight, Shinsuke, not legal, attacked Gallows, not legal.
Yeah.
They didn't get disqualified. If Shinsuke had attacked Anderson, my understanding is they would have been disqualified. So very smart thinking by Shinsuke to attack the non-legal man.
Some backstage crappenings. Paige appearance throws to a trailer that was clearly filmed on Raw. They've got the confirmation on that as well.
Yeah.
The Usos cut a typically great Uso promo. They'll be on Miz TV next week. So I hear there's some concern that they might not re-sign.
Wow.
Now, I don't know when their deal's up, but I just heard there's some concern they might not re-sign. So that doesn't mean they're going to AEW. It doesn't mean any of that. I'm just saying that I talked to somebody who said that there was some concern.
It's a brand new world where Vince no longer has the monopoly on this business. Where talented people can say, I feel like I'm not being used right. The money is at least comparable enough elsewhere that I can go because nothing warms my heart more as a former professional stage actor than seeing performers really care about the art more than they do the money. Because a lot of why I got out of the thing to begin with was because I saw a lot of people that I was working with, and a lot of theaters I worked with, who cared more about money than about making good art. So I said to myself, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I kind of fled away from that. So I love the idea of saying, I'm not being fulfilled creatively, and the money doesn't matter to me that much. I'm leaving. The fact that that's even a possibility right now makes this year very interesting. The Usos are mega talents as tag team wrestlers. Wherever they go, if they were to leave, that place would be immediately so much better to have them.
Had that news up on Fightful Select a little bit early. Not a thing I'm going to publish a full report about, but there you go. Zelina and Andrade have a backstage promo. Zelina says that Andrade stamped out Rey because he had to, not because he wanted to. No Rey on tonight's show. I think that's a good move. Sell the beat down. Sure. The man had been on fire in the ring the last several weeks.
Yeah, there's a way that you can slow burn this to get an amazing blow-off match at Mania. You can, or maybe even just Fastlane. But like, there's absolutely a way that you can do that because these two guys deserve it. This storyline makes perfect sense. That the new guy has to kill the king to become the king. I think that's absolutely a story worth telling, and I think they can tell that one well.
So this afternoon, there's a Twitter account named WrestleVotes who tweeted out some news that had, or put out a tweet that had a lot of people anxious. They said, quote, "Seems like the first real shot has been fired. Source says AEW has made an outstanding offer to a current big-time WWE superstar, an offer that is almost too good to turn down. Things are about to get interesting," end quote. Now, they did not reveal the name, and I know who the name is. Now, before I get into this, I am not saying this person was offered an AEW deal. I'm not saying that happened because I don't know if that happened. In fact, I asked people in AEW about this, and I was told, we are not tampering. We are not doing that. Our approach is, let's see, fresh and independent is the goal for the majority of our recruitment. What you're likely seeing is a particular agent trying to leverage more money out of WWE by possibly planting shit like this. What I was told this afternoon was that Randy Orton has been openly discussing his willingness to speak with All Elite Wrestling.
That
I didn't see that. That was not a name.
That's not something that I would have seen come. That guy's a lifer if there ever was one.
So somebody asked me, they're like, "Hey, who do you think it is?" And they knew the name that was being mentioned. And I said, I don't know, maybe Nakamura. It was me guessing.
Right.
And they said, no, it's bigger. And I'm thinking, well, it's the only two people that I would consider bigger on that brand were AJ and Daniel Bryan. And the reason why I thought that was because why would Randy Orton even be in that conversation? Why would that even be mentioned? Well, that's because, quite frankly, Randy don't give a fuck.
No, Randy does
Now,
not.
I'm not saying that he's gotten an offer. I'm not saying that he's talked to them. I'm saying that people backstage have said, and I heard it from a source, and it's the same source that has given me so much good news of late. And then it was subsequently confirmed with like 2 or 3 other people that he's just been like, yeah, I'd talk to him. Why not?
Because he's Randy. Yeah, sure.
He's Randy.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I mean, I have not made any secret about my feelings about this version of Randy Orton for the past few years on the podcast. I think that he's a finisher. I think that he was an incredibly dynamic performer for many, many years. I feel like because Randy don't give a fuck, that's kind of the way he wrestles a lot of his matches. Like, just whatever, I don't really care, whatever, and that kind of rubs off. I feel like it's kind of it comes off as being that. But it would certainly be a huge coup for anyone to draw him away from WWE. I mean, that guy, like, you feel like he feels like the guy who the second he walks out gets inducted to the Hall of Fame. Like he's
Sure.
I mean, it's him and Cena. Like that's it. Like and like Lesnar left for a while. Like this guy's been with WWE since the beginning. Since his beginning, it's just been them. And it would be crazy to think of him anywhere else. It really is kind of a shock.
Now, normally I'd look at something like this and say, well, what can he bring? Well, he can bring a lot of people that their roster right now doesn't target.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing you really have to think about, is that if he were to make that move, and let me reiterate again, the only thing I said was that he has openly discussed his willingness to speak with them. Not that there was an offer. Not that he got an offer. Not that AEW has approached him. AEW very, very clearly stated to me, we are not going to tamper.
Yep.
Now, what tamper is, or I don't have a copy of Randy's contract. I don't have a copy of standard WWE contracts and how that will play. I mean, WWE has had some issues where MLW had to kind of be like, hey guys, how about you piss off talking to our guys that we're bringing in, type of thing. But that's what I heard. And that was a shocker. That was surprising. And just before I went on the air, I had another person confirm it with me who was backstage in Phoenix for quite a bit of stuff. It's just not something that I envisioned. That's pretty wild. Pretty wild. I don't know the length of his deal. He could be signed through 2040 for all I know. Like, I'm not pretending that I have any insight on his deal. Just that's what I heard. But he had a damn good match with Mustafa Ali, I thought.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali, keep in mind, I reported on Fightful Select this weekend that he's working with an injured tailbone. It actually healed up before the Rumble and got hurt again. So he's working through that. Got hurt a little more tonight, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah. He caught the Sing bomb with the base of his spine directly on one of those monitors. And I was like, oh, man, you don't need to cripple the poor guy. He's been on SmackDown for like 7 weeks. Just, Randy, don't kill the poor guy. Like, amazing story that he's even here. We don't need to see him get carted out or something.
Yeah, that was Ali's reward for the slap to the face. And I'm thinking, how is that not a DQ?
I don't know.
Back inside the ring, Orton gets a power slam and a superplex. Ali does a couple of great drop kicks back from a commercial, including one that sends Orton over the announce table.
Yep.
Ali hits a series of super kicks while Orton holds the top rope.
That was great.
Oh, that's such a good sell.
Yes.
That nobody does.
Yeah. No, this is one of the things. This guy is an old head. Like he's been around the block many hundreds of times. He knows like new things that like other people haven't done before because he saw it once 20 years ago on a house show. Like he knows what he's doing.
So sorry, I lost my place in my notes a little bit. Mustafa Ali landed this great turnaround tornado DDT for 2. And then when he goes for the 054, we get a classic RKO.
Beautiful.
It was nice. Orton yanks his leg off the top into an RKO. Just a damn good fresh match, a good RKO finish. This is almost everything you want out of a Randy Orton match.
Yeah, this is the thing. It almost makes me wish we had several more weeks between now and Elimination Chamber, just so I get to see one-on-one matches between Mustafa and AJ, Mustafa and Jeff. Like, just all these people that we get to see, because, again, fresh matchups immediately are so interesting. That's why I hated the Randy and Jeff feud for so long. It felt like they had a match every week for 6 months. Like, this is a brand new thing. And again, I can't stress this enough. The only people we've seen Mustafa wrestle have been guys his size. There's all new things. Like, I love the extra snap that Randy gets on his power slam when he does it to some guy who's way lighter than he is, because there's a little extra oomph to it. And, again, Mustafa can sell so well, especially against these bigger guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds for him.
This was a fun match. There aren't a bunch of Randy Orton Smackdown matches that I'm exactly aching to see. This was a good one. It was a fresh matchup that he hadn't had.
Yep.
Samoa Joe comes out and chokes out Orton after the match. He cuts a promo backstage saying he's going to win the WWE title Elimination Chamber. A nice integration of Samoa Joe being crazy ass Samoa Joe.
Yeah, he's. I really wish I could take him seriously on the main roster. He just hasn't ever come up big in those big moments in the matches. But he doesn't need to. All he's be able to do is choke you out on the way there a few times, and maybe your oxygen intake is low going into the match.
Daniel Bryan and Rowan come to the ring and meet Joe on the ramp. Now, it's lazy sometimes that they do this, but I know they are facing a time crunch. Also, I think this is low-key a good way to kind of see if there's some magic there with the crowd. Like, maybe there's a matchup that that WWE doesn't quite know about, how people will react to it, or maybe they've done it before, like this one. And they're like, okay, let's see how the people react. This one didn't get like a great reaction or anything, but Bryan is introduced as the favorite son of Washington, which makes him smile. And he says, finally, some people who know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's good.
This was a good approach to take.
Yes. You can't fight it. You have this guy who's a huge heel, but he's back home where people really love him and they understand, they see through all the BS. So you don't have him be like, oh, you people aren't really cheering for me. You let him bask in his people. I think that's a much smarter way to do it.
Yeah, and Rowan even gets some mic time here. Not something we've seen a ton of in the past. Rowan talks about Galileo. Definitely something we've not seen a lot of in the past.
I love that they're turning him into like this philosopher who's read like, obviously they treated Galileo as a heathen, and I am Galileo. Like, it's just great. It's good. I like it.
He says their ideas have good intentions and people fear them, especially Daniel Bryan. And there's some special type of thing about Big Rowan saying people really fear him. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Bryan says that he shouldn't be in the Elimination Chamber match and then throws to a video highlighting the violence of the chamber. These are always good videos. The throwing to videos is a thing that is very stupid.
Yes.
And it's like they drop one thing, like they don't have Baron Corbin saying, how do I feel?
Yeah.
So that they instead have this crutch, which is stupid too. Once they get rid of all those crutches, maybe they'll be able to walk on their own, do some stuff. Also, WWE lost Kaz, a very good writer this week. The guy who was responsible for the Elias Leo Rush segment where Elias had that great line and the Elias Kevin Owens Seattle thing. They lost a really in-tune writer this week.
Yes. I mean, although he decided he was going to put up his little highlight reel of a lot of things he's done, one of them was the beginning of this Mandy Rose Uso story. And I was like, maybe you want to keep that one in your back pocket and not show everybody you were responsible for that. But I will say a lot of the things that he did, yes, were certainly more in touch with the times than normal WWE segments. But I did like this Bryan stuff a lot.
Wrestling Unlimited just sent me a message. Our buddy's over there, and he said, just so you know, Observer in 2010 reported that Orton signed a 10-year deal with WWE.
That's coming up.
There you go. Jeff Hardy's backstage and says the new WWE title makes him sick because Bryan is disrespecting the title. He's joined by AJ Styles, who questions whether or not Hardy should represent the title. I'm thinking, how long's it been since I'm okay? Well, okay, Hardy had a DUI. So it has been fairly recently that Hardy's.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. Like, I feel like Joe can use it, but everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. It's like, you're just piling on, guys. Like, that's Joe's shtick.
Yeah, that's his thing. And Hardy says, you know what? I'm questioning whether or not you can beat Daniel Bryan, which is the right thing to say.
Sure.
Absolution defeated Fabulous Glow and the Iconics. Every time Naomi gets put in some tag team, do you remember when Team Bad started, what she tried to call it?
No, I don't.
Team Best at Dominating.
Well,
no. Don't well me. Don't you dare. That is objectively a shit name.
I'm trying to remember what the acronym actually stands for.
It was lame. They had to call everything Team something.
It wasn't. What I'm saying is it wasn't much better than Best at Dominating, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but it was not good.
Well, Naomi and Carmella had a backstage promo about that. Then we see an oddly serious promo about the Iconics.
Yeah.
Not something we get a lot of.
No, but I love that they made it goofy at the end. Like their characters are so pure. They can't it's absolutely perfect that they would have a really nice heartfelt thing, and then at the end they just make it into something silly.
These two are hilarious, man.
They're great. This is of everyone in the match. If your thing is that we're not going to let Bayley and Sasha be the first tag team champions, we're going to have them win it and become champions later at Mania. If that's your deal, I'm okay with it. The team they should beat for that is Billy and Peyton. Billy and Peyton are perfect first champions. They can gloat about it, they can be funny, and then they can lose, and it's really not going to hurt them because they've been losers their entire time on the main roster.
My concern there is the quality of the in-ring work. It's not been there on the main roster for these two. Like it seems as if they've regressed a bit, and I wonder if that's because of the lack of consistent television time.
I will say this. If they're going to fit in with the male tag teams, maybe it doesn't matter so much, especially on Raw.
I mean, if we're talking heavy machinery, sure.
Yeah, I know. I was making a joke there, but
bad one.
I will say their tag team work in NXT was much better than what they've been doing on the main roster. I wonder if they've been asked to do too much goofy stuff, and as champs, if they'll actually be allowed to wrestle more.
Well, that Peyton wheel kick is not hit the same way it used to be.
No.
Carmella super kicks Peyton, and Billy gets sent into the corner. I just do think that Iconics need more consistent TV work. That way they can, I don't know, maybe get more reps and see how it works. Naomi tags in and Mandy runs away. But Naomi, I talk about those nights when she's on and when she's off because it's one or the other. She was on tonight.
She was.
The kick, she threw like 5 kicks. They looked really great, including a disaster kick where sometimes I wonder if she really even has control of her body. She just throws herself out there and screams, "Fuck it." Because it looked real good.
Yeah.
She sailed through the air, and I'm like, how's this going to end up? Well, it ended up really awesome.
Yeah.
Her offense looked amazing. She forces a tag to Mandy, beats the brakes off of her. But Mandy ends up getting the pin with Angel's wings when Peyton interrupts. Here's a little scoopski for Fightful. On Double or Nothing weekend, I'm going to have a making a finisher release. It's going to be Chris Daniels' version of the Angel's wings. going to talk to him about that. But Mandy gets the win here. I think it's the right idea leading into this match and to continue whatever the hell they've built here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming there'll be something that happens in this Elimination Chamber match. I don't expect either of the two teams to win it. Listen, as we said last week, there's not many options on SmackDown other than Carmella and Naomi in a one-time only tag team. That's fine. I will say one thing, that I think if you're going to make Sonya and Mandy into an actual tag team and call them Fire and Desire, whatever, maybe have them come out to a different Titantron and song than one that begins Mandy, because then it's like Sonya's also there when I think she's the better of the two in the ring.
Yeah, I'm looking for Sonya to do some really, really great stuff because, man, whenever I hear her talk, she's really good. Whenever I hear or see her work, it's almost always really good. Her offense looks convincing as well. So I fully expect the Iconics maybe to get a win next week unless they're winning the titles, which I don't expect. This show is capped off by Jeff Hardy defeating Daniel Bryan via DQ. Bryan lands some kicks before Hardy's half-assed sling blade hits. We also see a pretty nice back body drop from Hardy. Don't see a lot of those these days. Quite frankly, the bump isn't worth the reaction on that one a lot of times.
Yeah.
Bryan does the corner drop kick and a bow and arrow backbreaker hold. Then Rowan is outside and steps in front of Bryan as Hardy is running up the stairs. This stops Hardy dead in his tracks. He thinks, oh, man, this big son of a bitch is going to knock me down.
Right.
Hardy yanks him off, makes him land on the stairs. He and Bryan slug it out until they end up back outside where Hardy gets a clothesline off the apron. Bryan regains the advantage with yes kicks, but walks right into the twist of fate. Jeff Hardy lands a swanton, but then Rowan attacks, and we get a DQ. What'd you think?
Fine. I mean, that match was fine. There's some good little spots in there. I like the catching of the last yes kick into the twist of fate. That was good. I like the use of Rowan early in the match. Not a huge fan of the DQ thing, but I understand what it did. It set up, the thing where everyone comes down and runs in, which is usually saved for the go home show. But now, we got a whole nother week of stuff next week.
That we do. So all the members of the Elimination Chamber are out, kind of as you mentioned. Bryan is applying the LeBell Lock, but is joined by that field. First Joe, then Orton, then Ali. Ali is a goddamn tank because if you all saw what happened to him in that Randy Orton match, his eye is also busted up, and he came out there and took a face slam from Rowan. I don't know if it has a name.
I don't know, man. It's the face palm slam. Like it's great. It's like somebody got him in the old iron claw and then lifts him up and slams him that way instead of a choke slam. It's great. Took a huge, massive bump on the table again. Mustafa Ali, I swear, is going to kill himself for us one day. Like he's just he loves this shit so much, and he's willing to take any bump.
Styles music hits. He runs off Bryan and Rowan and kind of stands tall in the ring. And Daniel Bryan goes off backstage. I kind of like this. Caleb Braxton is just there like, hey, what did you? And Bryan goes off. And he says he and Rowan are intellectual peers and friends. Says he'll be WWE champion forever because it's what the planet needs. And he kind of like caught himself. I sound really crazy right now.
Yeah.
It's like you've seen it like people that are like, I'm not crazy. And everybody looks at them and they're like, well, you kind of. More than the promo, Alex, I got to ask you, is it an inevitability that Daniel Bryan gets Captain Planet themed gear? Because he needs it.
He should. He should definitely get it. I mean, he should have also a bunch of little henchmen who are like, of earth, fire, water, heart. I think that'd be great.
Overall, I thought SmackDown was pretty solid tonight. Nothing amazing. That first segment was amazing. The Orton Mustafa Ali match was really good. But that first segment is what I'm going to remember.
Yes.
My match ratings and podcast notes post every morning after Raw and SmackDown. I do a stats piece every week on Fightful. Those go up early for tier 2 members of Fightful Select every time I do them. Also, I have interviews with Eva Lise and Conrad Thompson that are already up, early access to articles. But if you start off on the regular tier, I got a Q&A podcast this week. I got the Fightful Report this week. Warren Hayes with the NXT UK and 205 Live podcast. We have Steven Jensen for the Weekender talking BTE. Everybody's asking about Jimmy Havoc. I haven't seen this video yet, so I'm not going to talk about whether or not AEW signed Jimmy Havoc. I'll do a video perhaps later on that, but man, there's a lot of stuff going on in wrestling, and quite frankly, when I look at Elimination Chamber, and I guess it's next week, we'll be making our picks, won't we, Alex?
Yeah.
My God, we'll be making our picks next week. I think it's going to be a good show. I think the women are going to go above and beyond to deliver. And the men's Elimination Chamber match is going to be real good.
Yeah, this is the thing about the fact that it's a week from Sunday. And we've already seen this week's Raw and SmackDown. So all they have are these next episodes next week. The only things that I know that are confirmed are the 2 chamber matches. Like, I haven't heard anything else about any other titles being defended or anything. Like, I'm assuming the Revival will probably get their shot at Root and Gable there, but who knows? So yeah, that's interesting to me that like you've got to set up all these extra matches in just 1 week. So it'll at least you won't be tired of hearing about them for several weeks before the pay-per-view. So that'll be interesting.
Also, I was just told that people backstage have not heard of AJ Styles sustaining any type of hernia or anything like that, but we'll keep our eye on that. As I look at All Elite Wrestling's Twitter, they have announced Jimmy Havoc, and I'm thinking, good signing. Think they need a little bit of diversity right now. Their roster looks like a Republican National Convention, but
it does.
But we'll see how that ends up. We do keep an updated All Elite roster on our resources section. If you guys want to support Fightful.com that in a way that isn't subscribing to Fightful Select, leave us a thumbs up. Also, if you go to iTunes and rate our podcast, that helps us so much. So many of our viewers are on YouTube, and we don't get a lot of the iTunes reviews that a lot of audio-only shows do. So even if you listen here on YouTube, if you go there and review us, that helps us out a lot. That helps expose us to a more broad audience. That helps us pay our writers better. It helps me be able to have more time to get y'all some scoops. We're going to be talking about quite a few scoops tomorrow on Listen Your Boy. Jimmy has told me that he is going to talk about the thing that you and I were talking about off the air, the little Twitter spat today.
Yay.
So Jimmy's talking about it after Jimmy said, Sean, don't do it. Don't do it. And then he was like, okay, do it once. We'll see how that goes. Also, we're going to talk about why the Point at the fucking sign shirt is no longer up on Pro Wrestling Tees. That'll be a thing that desist in your boy shirt probably coming soon now. I'll tell you that much. What you got going on this week, Alex?
I'm looking forward to some NBA trade deadline stuff. It's my time of year, man.
NBA trade flatline.
Oh,
am I right?
There's going to be some crazy stuff that happens. Listen, I love the idea. I don't know what happened tonight, but the Lakers' young talent went out and lost by 50 points to Indiana. I'm like, oh yeah, they're way too good to you can't blow up the team. Think of all these great players we'd be sending to New Orleans. Yeah, sure.
The way I look at it, somebody's got to score 16 points a game on a team like that.
Yeah.
Just because they do doesn't make them great players.
Yeah.
And to me, it was reasonable to the point of 2 draft picks.
Sure. When
you get to 4 first-round draft picks, I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, though, you can easily make an argument for like, oh, okay, you can have these draft picks in a couple of years when we'll be picking 27th or 28th anyway. Yeah. That's fine. But I understand the hesitancy. I just know that there are a lot of like, well, we can't give you this young guy because he's going to be an all-star someday.
I mean, the NBA is a weird league, man.
It is.
Kenneth Faried can't get playing time.
Or
he couldn't. And now he's in Houston where he's averaging 16 and a half and 10 a game.
Sure. Because Kenneth Faried's way better than anybody they had in Houston. But the other thing is that you have a lot of guys who are never going to do anything for your team because you're not going to give them that opportunity. But elsewhere, they could be something.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
go and do that.
It's like he couldn't have helped Brooklyn. Of course he could have helped Brooklyn.
Right,
I'm looking at Enes Kanter, and I'm like, my God, the guy over his career per 36, 19 and 12.
Yeah.
This year, 19 and 14. Last year, 19 and 15. I'm like, man, the NBA's – I've said this before. Hassan Whiteside got cut like 3 times.
Yes. Yeah. No,
they're real weird sometimes, dude.
It's really, really, really weird. I'm here for all of the drama.
Well, I love the NBA trade deadline. It's replaced the MLB trade deadline.
It really has.
We've not had time in a while to BS after a show like
I know, it's been nice.
But MLB trade deadline used to be the GOAT. I'm talking Ricky Henderson to the Blue Jays in 93, like Ruben Sierra for Cecil Fielder.
Yeah. So many of the trades in MLB now are we need this player to fill a spot. We're going to make the playoffs. And the other team gets a bunch of guys that I've never heard of, but then you Google them and you say they're the 4th ranked in the 2nd ranked prospect in this thing, and they're in Class A ball. I'm like, well, if they're in Class A ball, they can't be the 2nd ranked anything. Move them up. Let's see them in the big leagues. I want to see these people that get traded. At least in the NBA, the people that are getting traded are going to play immediately.
Yeah, I don't make a secret about how much I work. I do it a lot. I don't take a lot of days off. Like I have one this Thursday, kind of. But I'm really considering one of those special days off being like July 1st every year, the NBA free agency period. Transactions in NBA get wild.
Yeah.
Alex, there is going to be a time, and I hope it's when Louisville gets an expansion team, where they just take on, they just are like, you know what? You all got all these quote-unquote bad contracts when they're really decent players for $10 million. They're like, you know what? We got a fresh slate. Let's take them all. And you're going to have an expansion team in this mindset that might end up making the playoffs first year because the NBA's weird obsession with either first place or nothing.
Yes. Well, that's the problem with the NBA is the idea that if you wind up really trying really hard and maybe you get a couple of injury setbacks and then you wind up playing really well last month of the season and you come in 9th in your league, you get nothing. But if you come in last in your league, especially in a year like this year, and you wind up winning the lottery, you get Zion, and all of a sudden you're at the top of your conference.
Yeah,
because you weren't trying, because you didn't want it. Now, this is the thing. I think it's crazy to me. The Knicks, who literally give away everything they have to get cap room and might also get the number 1 draft pick, could wind up after a fire sale with KD, Kyrie, and Zion next year, which is just incredible to me that you can reward somebody for we don't want to be competitive.
Yeah.
We do next year, but not right now.
I'm just begging for the Bulls to give me a reason to be a Raptors fan. I love the city of Toronto, but it's like, you know what? I think I'll wait until after this offseason to decide.
Let's see what Kawhi does. Let's see what Kawhi does.
What really all I need is an expansion team in Kentucky. That's what I need. But as I've mentioned before on the show, my fear is that they'll put teams in Vancouver and Seattle to help balance the West Coast because New Orleans is not in the West.
No,
it is in the West.
Seattle deserves a team. They got the Sonics. What happened to the Sonics is just sucked. The idea that no, they had an arena. The arena was fine, and the people there justifiably were like, "We're not building you another arena, billionaire." And the billionaire's like, "Fine, sure. I'm going to send the team over to Oklahoma City." I'm like, you punished all those really, really good NBA fans out in Seattle. Seattle had a really great lineage. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, going all the way back to the 70s with Dennis Johnson, and just leave it vacant for years. That team deserves a new team.
Did you see Brandon Ingram getting the LeBron's going to trade you chance from the Pacers?
The Indiana crowd's merciless, man.
That's fantastic.
And I love that at least they understand that it is LeBron who's going to trade everybody. Yeah. LeBron runs that team. He runs that sport.
I mean, look at last year. They went the old NBA 2K route in Cleveland where they're like, let's just sign all these veterans. Yeah. They haven't had any offers. Let's sign them all for $1 million each. And LeBron's like, no, how about you trade them all?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you trade you trade away for some assets that are really making too much money so I can go to the team you're trading to.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Man, it's wild. Programming note, Thursday we will have a stream of the All Elite Wrestling stuff, and Mr. Warren Hayes will be here as I had the night off to do a live recap of whatever happens at this AEW thing. We do have a freelancer there live on site. Jeremy Taylor will be there for us, so we'll have content up, scrums, all that good stuff. Fightful bringing you the content. And this weekend, the return of the Division podcast, Kristen Ashley of Diva Dirt's women's wrestling podcast. It has gotten high marks. I mean, Sean Waltman was talking about how much he liked the podcast. So tune into that. Somebody's saying SRS about to be traded. Value too high. Oh, come on. Jimmy always makes that joke. He's like, oh, if we didn't have your contract on the books. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, I'm going to end up in Denver or something. That might not be too bad.
You'll be offloaded so they can have cap room on the next season.
Hope they don't trade me to fucking Ringside News. Anyway. Guys, thank you all so much. Well, let's be real. They don't have the assets to acquire.
They do not. They do not.
They don't.
They'd have to give up at least 12 draft picks, man.
At least. Guys, thank you all so much. I appreciate every one of you who are here. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Ross Sapp. Follow Alex at Pawlowski IV. Follow us. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're out.